So, my biggest problem with Fallout 4, and I Googled this actually before I started thinking about making this video. I've been thinking about making this for a long time, just to throw that out there. And this video, like, my brain's going to be a little fuzzy, so I'm going to probably ramble a bit, and I just want to say the reason why this video is coming out is because I've almost beat XCOM 2, and I'm trying to stall for time so I can get everything researched and get everything done just to, you know, have that there for the end of the mission just to show it off. But anywho, my biggest issue with Fallout 4, and I Googled this, a lot of people have said mechanics, a lot of people have said, you know, the barely there story, the very shitty story, which it kind of is shitty, the lack of choice morality or whatever, like there's a lot of glaring issues, a lot of people say mechanics or whatever, but personally, my biggest issue, and this one doesn't seem to go on the radar, is plot progression. Now what I mean by that is you go from point A to B, then B to C, then C to D, then E, you know, D to E, so forth and so on, until you get to the end of the game. Now, it suggests you go and talk to Preston and get Dogmeat and that, but you don't have to. You can skip that and go right to Nick. See, A is getting out of the, technically, getting out of the cryostasis. B isn't any of that stuff in the middle. B is going to Nick. Specifically going to Nick. So if you go, or going to Diamond City to find Nick, then C would be finding Nick, then D would be telling Nick what you're doing, E would be breaking into Kellogg's house, then F, and I've done this actually, if you break into Kellogg's house before you do any of these steps, the button's not there and you can't find Kellogg's stuff. So, if you go with Nick, break into his house, Dogmeat suddenly shows up. Even if you've never spoken to Dogmeat before, Nick even says, he's like, oh, you know, Dogmeat's got that real good sniffer there. Why don't you, you know, use him to find him? And you're like, okay, whatever, you old gumption dickhead. And it's just suddenly Dogmeat exists. It's like, why is this going on? And it's one of those things that really proves that Bethesda straight up expects you to do exactly what they say. Which is like, why make a free open world if you're going to command us to do a certain series of tasks? It's like saying, here's a piece of paper, you can draw whatever you want, draw me bananas. It's like, that doesn't make sense. You said I could draw whatever I want. Yeah, bananas, now. It makes no sense. So, that can all be explained away with, like, whatever. I'm not even going to try to give them logic where there is none. And then, once you get to Fort Hagen, if you go there beforehand, there are no turrets. If you go there after you find the cigar stuff and you go with Dogmeat, there are turrets. If you go there before Dogmeat stuff, if you go there before Nick, yeah, let's just say before Nick, after Nick. So if you go there before Nick, there are boards over an elevator that has no power, which makes no sense. There are boards over a door that is chained, which makes no sense. Why would you chain the door and then put boards over it? Why would you take the power away from the elevator and then put boards over it? It's like a double lock on a door that has, you know, it's like putting boards over a locked door that there's nothing to. Like, that's what it should seem like. The building should seem empty. When you go in before Nick, there are synths there. Not many, but enough. Now, you can explain that as being a forward scouting party. With a forward scouting party, if you go in and you kill them and leave, Kellogg shouldn't show up. Now, you could explain this by Kellogg showing up after and having a line of dialogue. He's like, where he'd say something like, when we got the information that you killed the scouting party here, I knew I had to meet you. So that's one way Bethesda could have covered their asses, but they didn't. So there's that. Now, if you show up after Nick, there's more synths there. The elevator's unboarded, has power, and the door in the basement is unboarded, but is still chained. So you can take the elevator down, and then you can go into the room and unchain the door. Now, if you go there before Nick and you use a glitch to go through the wall, Kellogg just starts talking to you. He's like, oh, you fought your way all across, you did. And it's like as if you already did all the other stuff. And then after you beat the quest, it even says, go talk to Nick. But if you glitched the game and went in there, it's like, who the hell is Nick? Who is Nick? Why is it telling me to talk to Nick? And then the Brotherhood shows up. Why are they here? What's going on? And it's like, it makes no sense, and things start falling apart. You see the holes in the plot, and shit just gets really weird. After Nick, it progresses fine. So, the reason why this is a big problem for me, and it's like, some people might say, oh, well, you know, they're telling their story in their way, but the reason why this is a big problem is because they proved that they are competent. One time before, they proved that they are actually competent at writing in a plot divergence, or some, whatever you want to call it, like a split in the system, or a tree and branch, whatever. So the way they did it before is the railroad, and this is the perfect example. If you go with the railroad, or if you go to the railroad, the church there, before hearing about the railroad, and before being told to walk the Freedom Trail, and you go into the basement, and you put in the password railroad, and you go meet Desdemona, there is a line of dialogue where she says, and it's not even a lie, it just says, you know, you can say, I'm just a scaver. And she goes, you expect me to believe you came here and guessed our secret password and you have no idea who we are? And your reply, which isn't a lie, could be like, yeah, I'm literally just here scavenging for stuff. And she goes, oh wow, you really don't know who we are. And you just really stumbled in here. And it's like, that one line could be applied to the whole Kellogg situation. And there's other things that could, like, you know, alter the storyline in a specific way. So you go and you talk to Kellogg, or when you first meet Kellogg, he goes, you woke up and you came immediately here. It's almost like you knew where I was. It's almost like we're supposed to meet. And then make him super strong so he kills you anyways, or something like that. Or make the enemies high level in there, so if you don't level up at all, you have no chance. And it's like, that one line would fix everything. That plot hole, gone. Brotherhood, say you finally go to the police station, you didn't go there before, and you know, you've already killed Kellogg, and you go to the police station, and you start talking with them, and they're like, yeah, we're looking for tech, how about you come with us? And you go there, and then the sense attack, and they do that, and then put in a line of dialogue like, oh, she finally was able to contact them, they're sending the big guns in a period of time. And then it's like a week in game, which they proved they can do a week in game passing with, what's it called? The Lorenzo gun artifact thing. Because a week has to pass in game before you can do that. And it's like, there's these plot holes, these inconsistencies which make no sense. And then the second you see that they're able to do the other stuff, it's beautiful. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you saw it and then you threw it out. It's like you had the perfect idea and then you destroyed it. And it makes no sense to me. Like, one of the other ways I would do this is I would give Dogmeat 5 paths. 5 paths. Just think about that, right? Say you give them 5 paths, and Dogmeat chooses one of them randomly. Now, specifically, say you go to an area, and then you get Dogmeat, that area is no longer capable to be chosen, so it's now 4 paths. And say you go to all 5, the one you went to the first time is no longer an area that is considered a threat. Like, oh, how did he know? Whatever, who cares? Right? And then you can even put in a line of dialogue with that, like, you hit all our safe houses. It's almost like you knew what we were doing. One little line, and it's like, break the fourth wall, ha ha ha, kind of funny. And I think that could really fix up the story, because it's like the story's end, which I'll probably end up talking about again, or talking about sometime, is shit anyways. But this game's plot holes and progression is ridiculous. And I really think it was a huge oversight for Bethesda, because they just, rather than kind of write in a loophole or write in an extra few lines of dialogue, they just said, screw it, put some boards here, do this, do that, cash a check, we're done. And it feels sloppy, but not rushed. It just feels sloppy because they proved they could do it with Desdemona, and then they didn't do it with anything else that I can think of right now off the top of my head. So I apologize if I rambled too long, but, you know, I just wanted to say that because it's been bugging me for a long time now, is that there are so many goddamn plot holes in this game, that could be easily covered up with a few lines of text. So, thanks for watching. Toodle pet.